damning indictment against your crime commissioner. And I'm going to leave it with you guys. Because last year, I called for the dismissal of the Chief Constable, Chris Eyre. Chris Eyre has failed child abuse survivors in Nottingham. Right? He failed to have my evidence taken in New York, and I was meant to be video interviewed. We have the New York police stating, right, that no requests were ever made. I've had crimes committed. I've had crimes committed against me, candidates. I've been assaulted by council employees.
What's your question, Mickey?
What, as a crime commissioner, if you are elected, will you do that Paddy Tipping hasn't done? Because as far as I'm concerned, Paddy Tipping has stolen the survivors out. He promises a public inquiry. The council will be named on it, regardless of the fact that he promised it.
Thank you. We've got the question. So the question is, how are they going to tackle the historic sex abuse scandals that have been...
What will you do where Paddy Tipping has failed?
Okay.
Okay, well, let me just say, I promised that we would have a public inquiry. Here's my leaflet. I will keep my promise that victims of historic abuse in local children's homes receive both support and a public inquiry. As you know, Mickey, I was the first person in Nottinghamshire to call for the public inquiry. I'm the only person.
You failed us, Paddy.
Let me just finish. I'm the only person on the panel who's been to meet the Goddard inquiry. Why are the Goddard inquiry coming? Because I asked them.
No, we fought to bring them here.
Bollocks.
You're a liar.
Actually, Mickey, I put the Goddard inquiry in touch with the survivors group.
Okay. Does anybody else want to come in on this?
Yeah, I'd like the three of them to answer.
I've been campaigning with the survivors group for many years now, and I meant it in my mini manifesto to prioritise this and to fully assist with the Goddard inquiry. And I actually think it's a combined effort, Paddy. It was, it started off being noisy, generating awareness, formed into an official group, excellently chaired by David Hollis, and to where we are today. But one thing I can tell you, in a meeting with the Chief Constable, he actually thought that historic child abuse wasn't as important as current, and I have to say I disagree with him, and if elected, I will make sure that he understands that it's important that we tackle the historic, because justice needs to be served. There can be no deterrent for abusers, people committing abuses today, if we're not convicting and prosecuting the criminals of yesterday.
Yeah, if I can just back from there, because I was actually with him when he did ask that question. I'm the only person sitting up here that's arrested people for child sex abuse. So I do understand it, and I do understand what an emotive, horrific subject it is. And I fully understand what you're going through, Mickey. I really do. And the way forward is the Goddard inquiry. Got to support the Goddard inquiry, have a public inquiry, feed all of our information into that, gather the evidence and let them decide and give them a free rein as to what's happened, because obviously something has happened here in Nottinghamshire and we need to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, does anybody else want to come in?
Yeah, but well, briefly, I think the parameters of the PCC are tight. What the Police and Crime Commissioner can do is very narrow, but he can do one thing that's very important. He can hire and fire the Chief Constable. He can hire and fire the Chief Constable. He can hire and fire the Chief Constable. And
He refused to.
The Chief Constable has to be focused on what the PC's priorities are, and PCC's priorities are. And there are a number of areas where I believe the Chief Constable needs to be performance managed. And lots of the things that we've talked about earlier about visibility of policing, about the Goddard inquiry, about his priorities for policing. And I'm afraid to say, whoever the next PCC is, if he doesn't reprioritise in the way that the next PCC thinks he should do, then he should be fired.
And on behalf of Nottingham Abuse Survivors, Jason, I would like to apologise for the rantings of Melanie Shaw.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now is, and it all comes down to what Councillor Mason said about social media,
The social media nowadays is a very powerful tool, whether it's Facebook, Twitter or whatever's out there. I'm not on it, I don't like it. I think a lot of things can be said and can't be retracted as soon as that button's pressed. And that is, wouldn't it be better today for it to be Paddy Tipping, Police Crime Commissioner, and Chris Ayres, Chief Constable, met us and listened and talked in a constructive manner. No, Paddy, just let me have a say. You can say whatever after, please. And that is that if it's done in a constructive manner, through their person who is an independent person who's their voice piece, it's done through them, not people getting irate, not accusations flying around, as long as it's done in a constructive manner. Because I'm almost sure, about a year ago, at the police crime panel meeting, one thing got fetched up about, I can't remember if it was a place in Nottingham, is it the Birches, the Beeches, whatever?
Beechwood.
Beechwood, that was a hot topic at that time. Suddenly, it's died off. Yet if somebody comes, right, I know you do your reports, and sometimes your report might be as thick as War and Peace, but it's got to be said, if somebody's got something to say, come on, let's be fair, let's give people a time, as long as it's done in a constructive manner, because you've come out with a quote, Paddy, that you're prepared to listen, so please do.
You know, and that's where it, but until you commit to having a public inquiry,
Yeah, well look,
you can't start
we are
talking about in terms of the
we are
reference.
committed, you've got it there. We're committed to having an inquiry. Okay, there's no argument about it, no ifs, buts, full stops. So I'm like David Cameron now, you know, we're committed to having a public inquiry.
Who do you define as we?
Myself, the force, and the two councils.
Can we have that in writing?
It's there.
You can't start
we are
talking about in terms of the
we
reference.
are committed, you've got it there. We're committed to having an inquiry. Okay, there's no argument about it, no ifs, buts, full stops. We're committed to having an inquiry. Okay, we're committed to having an inquiry. Okay, we're committed to having an inquiry. Okay. Committed, committed, committed.